Hey everybody, this is Strict9 with Strict9 GP, and as promised, I'm starting a new series today. This is going to be a GM only challenge with the Cincinnati Reds. So this is the home screen that you're looking at right now for the team. I've already set up the league and the settings for it. A couple things for me. I am going to be controlling pretty much everything to do with promotions, demotions, signings, all that kind of stuff. But the manager is going to be in charge of lineups and rosters and depth charts. So that's going to be a little bit more of a challenge for me because, as I've said before, I like to control as much of the game as I can. So I won't be able to do that in this game. And another thing is I can be fired. So hopefully I'll be able to turn things around. The owner goals right now are fairly generous, but playing close to 500 ball this season, that might be a stretch. And then keep building your team to reach the playoffs by 2022. I don't think that's too tough of a challenge. But if you follow baseball and you follow the Reds, you know this. There's a few things with this team that make it a challenge, and that's what I'm going to be focusing on this first episode. And we may sim ahead and do some playtime into the first month of the season. But I've got a few things, a few decisions I need to make. And the first thing that I'm just going to look at is in personnel. If again, if you're following the actual major leagues, that um, the Reds did decide to move on from Brian Price, and I forget how many games he lasted, but uh, fairly quickly through the start of the season they let him go, and he signed through 2022. But I really think, even though his tactics are probably good for the team, I really think I need to move ahead too. Um, his record has not been that great. Obviously, he's had some challenges to play or to manage through, but um, I think I really do believe that coaches and managers do have a good impact on the players. So I think that's the first step I need to make because I'm probably not going to be able to do any big player signings for a while. And if I go ahead and if I look at the available personnel um, for managers, there are a couple right off the bat that look very good. And of course, the first one, Dusty Baker, has managed with the Reds before. They let him go in after the 2013 season when they made the playoffs. He has just a amazing record over the course of his career. He hasn't made the playoffs probably as much as you'd like to see with all the when you consider his record, but um, well, I don't know if this is correct. I think he did. They're saying not qualified when he did make the playoffs through some of those years. But I think I'm going to offer him a contract and see what he will do. He would do 1.55 million for 3 years. I wonder if I can get him for, let's say, 1.275. Wait, gotta do that again. Is that correct? Yes. So we'll see what he says. And then another thing, scouting director is good. Hitting coach is fair. And the hitting coach is signed through 2019, so just another year. Mac Jenkins, though, he's untested, but he's only signed through this year, so I'll see if I can work a contract up with a better manager, and I'll probably stick with these guys for now, even though they're not rated that great in the game. But the biggest thing is I want to get a good manager going early on. And you can see too from our budget, we don't really have a whole lot of money left right now. We're under 10 million projected budget room, and only 13 million or so cash available. So I'm not going to be able to do a whole lot of signings. Free agent wise, I mean, there's a few guys out there, but nothing that really would help me too much. Seth Smith, pretty decent corner outfielder, but I'm probably going to have to wait on that and see how that goes. But if you look at the rosters, the way it's set up, the biggest challenge is obviously going to be with that pitching staff, starting rotation. I mean, you have a few guys here who could perhaps develop. I mean, a couple young guys there in that 4th and 5th spot. Castillo, potential 3-star. He looked pretty good in limited play last year. I'm really scared of his movement, though. That usually leads to a lot of home runs based on those ratings, so I'm going to have to watch him a little bit. And there are a few people in the bullpen that don't look too bad. Jimmy Herget, if I'm saying his name right. This will be his rookie year, but he has some great potential stuff rating. The guy might even turn out to be a closer potential on the team. And closer right now is Wandy Peralta. Offensively, outside of Votto, Jeanette, who had a good year last year, Suarez, pretty good player, Duvall, whose contact rating is really low. That scares me quite a bit. I'm hoping that he plays up a little bit better than that. And then you've got Jesse Winker, who this should, if he's able to play out, stay healthy, it will be his first full season in the majors. He's got some really good overall ratings. Potential 3-star, but just 1.5 star right now. And then Schebler, who has some good power. He's a good defender. The outfield might be serviceable right now. Of course, Billy Hamilton, who's a heck of a player to watch, really exciting player to watch, but his ratings are pretty low in contact and things like that. Got game-changing speed and defense, though. So I'm probably going to have to ride it at least through to the trading deadline and see what we got. If I'm looking at the minor league system rankings, where are we? We're 6th right now, and that's mainly from Senzel, who's 7th overall, and there's a few other guys there. Trammell, who's quite a ways away from making it. He's going to be at Daytona right now at A ball, but he's got some really good potential. But roster-wise, I'm probably set, unless we'll probably play it semi-head to the start of the season, which is what I always like to do, is check that waiver wire before play starts to see if I can pick up a player or two here. And, I wouldn't mind having another outfielder to replace Irvin, for instance, or a middle infielder to replace Pennington. Catcher, I like Barnhart. I think he'll be all right. He's a great defender. Got some good personality ratings. I think he's solid as a starter. But then, of course, that pitching staff is really going to be a challenge. And if you look, I don't really have a whole lot in the minors and AAA ready to go. Maybe a few relievers that could potentially see action this year, but it's going to depend on Senzel too, how he develops and if he's ready to go. If he is, then around the trading deadline, Suarez might be someone who I can shop around, especially if he's playing pretty good first half of the year. But that's looking at the team. The other thing, aside from that manager situation, I wanted to look at, probably the biggest challenge, honestly, with the Reds are those 2 contracts at the top with Votto and Bailey. Votto it's a long-term contract. He signed through 2023 with, I guess, a team option for 2024, but it's 25 million a year. But Votto being Votto, right now he's probably worth it. I don't know if he's going to be worth it 3, 4, 5 years from now, but that one doesn't trouble me too much. You know, you got to pay for a player of his caliber. But the Bailey one really troubles me because it just in real life, I think Bailey this year has shown some signs that he's coming back okay from injury. But the ratings in this game are just they're just not really good enough for him to be an everyday player. His movement or stuff especially is 6, and that's going to be hard to play with. And even, you know, I used the 1 to 20 rating scale for each of the individual ratings. So he's, you know, less than half on the 4 pitches that he has, which I think, you know, you need 3 or 4 pitches if you're going to be a starting pitcher in this game. Only 1 is really rated above average. So he's really a tough guy to figure out what to do with. And if I release him, let me see. If I release the player, it's $44 million spread over 3 years. So his contract right now calls for the 2021 next year, 23, and then a player opt out. And I think the opt out might be a buyout, or the 2020 season. I think that team option. It's not showing here. It might not be a buyout. It says a 0 buyout. But I would expect him to stay. As much as I hate to do it, I really feel like if he's just going to cost me, he's going to cost me $44 million anyway over the next couple years. Whether I release him or keep him, then I guess I'll let it play out a little bit longer and see if whatever manager I get, if he finds a better spot for him. I mean, I don't even think he would be, like, if I set his position to reliever, for instance, his stuff rating goes up a little bit. He's a 1.5 star potential and overall, which is still not great, but he expects to be in the starting rotation. But I just I don't foresee him getting better at all or being competitive with those kind of ratings. So I feel like I just need to bite the bullet and go ahead and release him. So that's not going to touch my budget for this year, but then of course next year he's going to still be showing up on the books. So that means that I'm going to need another pitcher to take his place. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sim ahead until we get to the opening day. All right, so Roman Quinn's out from tripping up the stairs. Dusty Baker, he needs more money. Let's see what kind of money he's asking for. Now he's wanting $2.5 million. Holy cow. Well, that's not going to happen. So back to the drawing board, and we got Girardi, Farrell. Let me try Girardi. I'll just 4 years at just under 1.5. I'll go ahead and submit that offer and see what he likes, see if he takes it. And then top 100 prospects list. We do have Senzel there at third or seventh. I'm sorry, and I want to go ahead and they didn't have preseason predictions. I thought they would have that. There is a setting I'm pretty sure um, for the preseason predictions, but I'm not sure where it is right now. Hmm. Yeah, it should be automatic. I'm not sure why that did that. But let me go ahead, since we're starting, let me see if there's anybody on the waiver wire. There's not really. TJ McFarland, a lefty, got a poor stuff rating. So we need to bring up a pitcher to replace. Did we go with Stevenson, who hasn't looked that great either? He was at one point a really big prospect for the Reds. Garrett. Man, his movement is really bad. Or Aston. I guess I'll try Garrett for now. We'll see what happens. All right, so everything should be set. Let's see what the pitching staff looks like. So he's got Garrett in that fifth spot. So I'm going to go ahead and go through the first week here. All right, so we do have Girardi as the manager now. So let's see what he does with the pitching staff. Changed up a little bit. Lineups. All right, so he's got Hamilton. This is against righties, but everything looks about as expected on that. So we lost the first game of the season. I didn't really get a chance to look at that. 4-1. But now I want to look and see at the front office and see how money looks now. Not that great, under 10. So before we get started playing out too much, I want to see one more time what's available out there. So if we just looked at just starting pitchers and pitching ratings, man, not much at all. Casimir, I guess he could do in a pinch if I needed somebody. But I think we're just going to have to ride it out this first year, get to the draft, and hopefully have a good draft pick. So let's sum through a few weeks and see what we're looking at here. So first week in the books here. Well, first few games, and we are 2-1. How about that? And Looks like team power rankings, we are 5th. Yeah, I don't expect that to continue, but we won 2-1 in that last game against Tyler Mail. Is that how you say his name? He had a good, well, 5 innings, but no runs, no earned runs. And then we won the second with 3-2. So some squeakers there, but Jeanette had a great game. Romano got that first win. Romano might have the best chance of having a decent year of any of the pitchers on the staff. And looks like we got, no, he's just minimal for a day. Oh, this is a big loss. So we already lost starting pitcher Gallardo for 2 weeks. And we lost big to Chicago, 6-15. Whew. That was a bloodbath. And Gallardo got hurt. Ben Rowan gave up a lot of runs. Peralta, 7 earned runs in 2 1/3 innings. Let me look if there's anybody on the waiver wire. There's not. And I've already looked at the free agent, so I got to bring up one of these guys. I think Aston pitched a little bit last year. He's listed as a starter. We'll give him a chance. You know, at this point, what can you lose? So let's keep simming ahead here. So we got Iglesias coming off. I forgot about him. He's going to be the closer. And how long was he injured? Paternity leave. So that's not bad. So who do I need to take down here? Probably Rowan in that bullpen. That stuff rating just really scares me on him. He's out of, so I'll have to waive him. And then for the pitching, yeah, so Girardi does like Iglesias as the closer. Let me check the news here to make sure anything's not stuck. Looking, oh, Bartolo Colon. Man, his ratings are down there too. It looks like he's gone for the year, so that might be the end of his career. And we just lost that last game at Pittsburgh, 5-6. That was a squeaker. Oh, now we lost Schebler. That was not good. And looks like Bryce is now, he's going to be injured for a while. I think, even though it's minimal, I really think I'm going to need to put him on the DL for an injury that's going to take that long to recover from. Wait a minute. And so now I got to bring up another, we'll try Crockett. And then Scott Schebler, he's not off to a great start, but I can't afford to lose him. He's out for 1 to 2 weeks. So hopefully he'll come back quick. And then that leaves me, man, I don't know who to bring up. I guess I could, let me look. Just to see if there's anybody on the waiver wire. There's not. And then free agents, I didn't look at the outfielders to see if there's anyone here who might help me out. Alexis Bell, great speed. He can play right field, but nah. So I'm going to have to just go with what I've got here. Mason Williams. I guess I'll try him. And we won 7-3 though. That was a pretty good win for us on the road. Mail picked up his second win. And we got Kevin Shackelford coming off now. He was out for 2 weeks. I'm probably going to put him on a rehab assignment, but he might be somebody I call up here. I'll let him go for a week down there, and then we'll call him up. So through 9 games, we're at 4-5. About to play the Phillies. And in the team power rankings, we are 20th. But already we're starting out better than I expected us to. Let's give it another week and see what we can do. I would like to play through this month in this episode. Now we got a lot of guys coming off the DL, which is good. Lorenzen's about to come off. Probably put him on a rehab assignment too. Let me see. At least for this next week. And then Brandon Finnegan, who his ratings are not that great. That movement and control rating is really poor. But how long he was injured for a while too. I'm gonna put him on a rehab assignment. And let's see if those guys can come back. We've got Gallardo will be back pretty soon. Scaflini. I have a hard time saying his name. I don't know what I'll do with him when he gets off. And then David Hernandez, the reliever. I'll probably want to call him up as well. So pitching with those injuries might start looking a little bit better. And David Hernandez is eligible to come off. I'm going to put him in a rehab assignment. I'll probably look at these guys at the end of the week. So we got Gallardo is eligible to come off. And Garrett hasn't looked honestly all that bad. But I think Gallardo is just a little bit better of a pitcher right now. All right, so let's finish this week. We're at 5-9, 6-9. Gallardo's hurt again, so that was quick. And it looks like it's day-to-day for 3 to 4 weeks. So he goes back on the disabled list. And who's on the rehab assignment? So we got Brandon Finnegan. He needs to probably start a couple games. Michael Lorenzen, he's going to be bullpen only. And then Kevin Shackelford will be bullpen only. David Hernandez. Man, that pitching staff. And let me see, I'm going with one. I am going with 12. So we'll call Mira Garrett back up. And Rowan's going to go to AAA. So through the 16th, we're 6-10, not doing all that great. Players of the week: Inciarte, Giancarlo Stanton, 7 home runs already, and we are 26th in team power rankings. Any surprises here? Houston off to a good start. Oakland, good start. Chicago White Sox and Detroit, those guys are struggling. But Miami's leading the East right now. I don't know how long that'll hold out. The Cubs are doing good, starting out the year. Dodgers looking really good, 12-3. Starting out way better than the real life Dodgers. And Matt Olson, 8 home runs already. But man, for some reason, these ratings are really low in this league so far. We'll see how that plays out, if it just kind of averages out. Billy Hamilton on a 12-game hitting streak. He's at .310 batting average. He's looking pretty good. Let's see. Pitching staff is rattled. Jared Hughes has looked good in relief. Iglesias has looked pretty good since he was called up. And those are probably the bright spots for the pitching. And then for the lineup, Jeanette off to a really good start. Getting most of the play time there. Looks like it's second. Barnhart is struggling at catching. Mesoraco's looking good. Backing him up. Votto off to a typical great start for him. Suarez is struggling at third, so we'll take a look at Senzel here to see how he's doing. And then outside of Hamilton, that outfield is really struggling too. Hamilton already 9 stolen bases, hasn't been caught once. So is Senzel doing good enough to come up? Yeah, he's starting out really good. I'd like to see him get more play time, but I plan to use him. Probably, he should probably be called up by the All-Star break. So that's kind of the start we're under right now. I'm going to go ahead and probably take care of some of these guys in who are on rehab assignments, get them situated. I'll probably call down or send some guys down, but that's going to be some crazy decisions there. I do think like Lorenzen and Hernandez are definitely going to need to be called up. Shackford probably is going to be better than what I got up there too, but we'll see. I would like to say if we can get to say 70 wins, I think that'll be a positive. If we can stay away from 100 losses, I think that'll be a good way to finish out this year. But hopefully you'll like this series. I thought it was something a little bit different. I do kind of like the Reds. I've been to several games, and I like the team. I like the city. I like the stadium. And I just thought it was the obvious best challenge in the league this year to take them on and see how quick we can turn it around or not. But thanks for watching this episode, and I'll have more episodes to come of this one, and then I'll probably do an episode here and there of that Phillies team. If you've been watching that series, I made it's probably my most active off season because I had a lot of money, and I signed some pretty big free agents going into the 2032 season, I believe. So hopefully turn things around there too in that playthrough. But as always, thanks for watching and subscribing. Hope you like it, and I'll see you next episode.